Tetsuye and his wife, Uichi, committed suicide.
Wow, the wife
Following the fall of the castle,
the wife went with him? Alright, boy. Yeah, boy.
it's a hot summer night in the land of the gods.
Gotta catch up with
Two
some
samurai
of the series
walk in a
I'm
bamboo
behind
grove,
on,
moonlight reflecting on their armor.
including this one
The
here.
older one is noticeably wounded on his left side and walks slowly. Sensing his death, he asks his follower to assist him in seppuku, to cut off his head.
What?
He kneels and hears the bamboo rustling.
Oh my
He
god.
thinks for a moment that maybe he could escape all this, become a monk and live the rest of his life in peace. Then the cold steel blade of his comrade sharply descends. He had played the great game and
How the hell do you go on the live yourself like that, bruh? I know you feeling that. I know you feeling, bruh.
he had lost. This was his punishment for failing to win the most important battle of his life. And while his star was setting, Hideyoshi's was rising as bright as the sun over Japan. This video is
Ah! Damn! Oh god! And you know, bruh, decapitation is. I always wonder, are you aware after you get decapitated? Like, you have to feel that. There's no way. There's no way. Because decapitation, like, it's slower. It's slower. Like, slower than your brain can process pain. So when that touches your skin, bruh, then it has to, like, go through the skin, which slows it down. Bruh, you feeling that? Like nah, bro.
episode, we saw Hashiba Hideyoshi come into service under Oda Nobunaga, then followed his rise from a simple foot soldier to a great general, pivotal to Nobunaga's plans for domination across Japan. Now, following the betrayal of Akechi Mitsuhide, the leader of the Oda clan and his eldest son and heir were no more. Following the events at Honnoji, Mitsuhide's men looted and largely destroyed nearby Azuchi Castle, Nobunaga's seat of power, taking many treasures. Akechi, probably unaware of Hideyoshi marching towards him at warp speed, did little to fortify his position. He tried to gather the support of Kyoto's citizens by reducing taxes, and even secured the gratitude and support of the imperial court. The only problem was that the emperor at that time had no authority. Mitsuhide also extended a hand of friendship towards other former Oda allies, like the Tosokabe, Hosokawa, Takayama, Nakagawa, and Tsutsui clans, with no success. Tosokabe Motochika was too far to intervene, not to mention embroiled in his own campaigns in Shikoku. Takayama Ukon and Nakagawa Kiyohide sided with Hideyoshi, while Tsutsui Junkei stayed out of the conflict. The Hosokawa, despite their family ties with Akechi, were staunch Oda loyalists. In fact, Hosokawa Tadaoki, Mitsuhide's son-in-law, was so appalled by this betrayal that he immediately divorced his wife. His father, Hosokawa Fujitaka, opted to turn to a monastic life and became a Buddhist monk. Akechi Mitsuhide would have to face Hideyoshi without allies. At the Hashiba camp, the outgoing and silver-tongued Hideyoshi had no shortage of allies. Just as his troops were passing outside Osaka, they were joined by Niwa Nagahide, another great general of the Oda clan, and Oda Nobutaka, Nobunaga's third son. They were stationed at Sakai, making preparations to invade Shikoku when the events of Honnoji occurred. For Hideyoshi, having Nobutaka on his side was a big advantage, as Nobunaga's son added legitimacy to his cause. The stage was set for the two rivals to clash when the two armies met near the village of Yamazaki, an area advantageous for Akechi's smaller army, as the nearby rivers and castles would prevent envelopment maneuvers from Hideyoshi's larger corps. Upon reaching the area of the battlefield, Hideyoshi realized that the key to victory was the nearby forested hill of Tenozan that overlooked the road to Kyoto. For that reason, he dispatched a regiment under Nakagawa Kiyohide with the mission to secure it, which he did without any difficulties, thus giving Hideyoshi and his army the advantage of high ground. That same night, he also sent a group of shinobi into Mitsuhide's camp. The ninjas lit fires in huts and other buildings where Akechi's men were spending the night, causing much confusion among the troops and lowering their morale.
Oh, what the hell? Before we skip this, where did Japanese people come from? Where did Japanese people come from? I heard that Japanese people are not indigenous to Japan, and that they originated from somewhere like around like Manchuria, roughly speaking. Manchuria all the way to Vladivostok area. Like I heard that's where they came from. But I heard that Japanese people are not indigenous to Japan. Why is it that nobody never really asks this question? Like, where did Japanese people actually come from? Not only that, but like Turks are related to Japanese people, at least in language anyways. They're in the same language family. Is hypothesized. So it's like, okay, if they're in the same language family, then at one point they were the same language. Like Turkic languages and Japanese. If that hypothesis is true. So that would mean that Japanese people are not indigenous to Japan. Right? I don't know, I'm just saying.
The following morning, Hideyoshi deployed his troops behind the bank of the river Enmyojigawa, opposite Mitsuhide's forces, with Takeyama Ukon and Hori Hidemasa leading the vanguard. The battle began with Mitsuhide's forces charging forward, the hill of Tenozan becoming a highly contested point. Matsuda Masachika and Nabika Kamon tried to wrestle control of the mount from Hideyoshi's troops, but came under heavy fire from the latter's arquebusiers. With Tenozan firmly under his control, Hideyoshi felt confident enough to launch his counterattack, ordering forces on his right flank, under the command of Ikeda Tsuneyoki and Kato Mitsuyasu, to cross the river and charge Suda Nobuharu's corps. Despite facing stiff resistance, they managed to push and slowly turn towards the center of Mitsuhide's formation. At that point, Hideyoshi also committed his left wing to the fierce melee. This proved to be too much for the Akechi forces, who broke ranks and began routing in large numbers. Watching the armies collapse, Mimaki Kaniaki sent a messenger to Mitsuhide, urging him to flee to safety, while he and 200 of his men tried to buy some time by charging the lines of Hashiba's troops.
You're crazy!
With no choice left, Mitsuhide initially retreated to Shoryuji Castle, but understanding that he would be surrounded and would not last long in this position, he attempted to flee during the night, with only 20 of his most trusted men escorting him. His goal was to reach his very own Sakamoto Castle, but he wouldn't make it past the village of Ogurisu. There, while crossing a bamboo grove, he was ambushed by a band of peasants, with a villager wounding him at his side with a bamboo spear. Drawing his last breaths, Akechi Mitsuhide committed suicide, with his head later being recovered and given to Hideyoshi, who in turn brought it to Honnoji, presented it to Nobunaga's spirit, and then placed it on a spike for the people of Kyoto to see, the fate of a common criminal.
Yo, you know what this bamboo thing reminds me of? Bro, I don't think people realize how hard bamboos are. So in Barbados, right? Which if you're new, Barbados is my country for those of you who are new. But in Barbados, as a kid, I remember, bruh, like, teachers would beat children in school with bamboos. And they would purposely use bamboos because bamboos were hard as hell. So it really hurt. Really hurt. Yeah. Yeah, bro. Bamboos are no joke. Now I don't know how it is in your country if teachers are allowed to hit kids or whatever, but yeah, bro. Teachers, yeah, they have some creative methods of beating children. Very creative methods.
Akechi's 11-day rule was over, but for Hashiba Hideyoshi to rule the land, he would first need to elevate himself above the rest of the Oda generals and Nobunaga's sons. While the prestige of being the one to defeat the traitor Mitsuhide was a significant boost, it was not enough. When Nobunaga died, his eldest son and heir Nobutada also perished, which caused a succession crisis between his remaining sons. Nobunaga's generals were also daimyos and powerful men in their own right, and they too could seek a piece of the territory pie as well as leadership of the alliance. To settle these differences, one of Nobunaga's oldest and most trusted generals, Shibata Katsuie, called a conference at the castle of Kiyosu in Owari. Besides Nobunaga's sons, Nobukatsu and Nobutaka, and Katsuie himself, also present were Niue Nagahide, Ikeda Tsuneoki, and of course Hashiba Hideyoshi. Katsuie was quick to throw his support behind Nobutaka, who had been present at Yamazaki and avenged his father's death. For Hideyoshi to rise above Katsuie, he would have to support Nobukatsu's claim, but he was unlikely to win as his reputation was tarnished by military failures. Compounded by his passiveness in the face of Akechi's revolt, led many retainers to openly question his ability to lead. Nobutaka's election as the next head of the Oda clan seemed inevitable when Hideyoshi had an epiphany, left the room, and later returned holding in his hands the late Nobutada's infant son, Samboshi. Samboshi was the ideal candidate. He was the son of Nobutada, Nobunaga's chosen heir, and his other grandfather was Takeda Shingen, thus combining two of Japan's biggest names. More importantly, he was 3 years old, and therefore not an immediate problem to the powerful Oda vassals. One by one, the Oda generals supported Hideyoshi's proposal. The land between the 4 powerful vassals was also equally divided, with the exception of Nobunaga's personal fiefs that went to his sons. Hideyoshi was awarded Yamashiro, Kawachi, and Tamba, while Katsuie received Omi and Echizen. Kyoto, despite being in the province of Yamashiro, was decided to be jointly ruled by all 4 in equal measure, though Hideyoshi showed more interest in the city and practically exercised greater authority. It wouldn't be long before the rivalry between Katsuie and Hideyoshi would lead to open hostility. Oda Nobutaka quite understandably couldn't accept the fate that a baby had beaten him for the clan's leadership, and still sought to reclaim his stolen position. Shibata had supported him in the past, and their alliance was solidified through the marriage of Katsuie to his aunt Lady Uichi, the widow of Azai Nagamasa. Shibata Katsuie wasn't the only one who thought that Hideyoshi was planning to usurp the power of the Oda clan, and around him gathered many other generals who thought Nobutaka to be the rightful heir, like Takigawa Kazumatsu and Maeda Toshie. The Oda-Shibata alliance would have been an incredibly hard obstacle for Hideyoshi to overcome had Nobutaka not given an unexpected gift to his enemy when he declared war in late 1582. The timing couldn't have been worse, as the winter snows had blocked the northern roads, trapping Katsuie and the bulk of his army in Echizen. A very grateful Hideyoshi marched quickly to Nobutaka's seat of power in Gifu and forced him to swear fealty. While returning to Kyoto, he was informed that Takigawa Kazumatsu and Shibata Katsutoyo, Katsuie's son, had both raised their armies and were planning a 2-pronged attack. Hideyoshi first moved against Katsutoyo in Nagahama, and after subduing the castle's defenders through bribery, moved against Kazumatsu in Kameyama, which he captured after successfully using mines to blow up a section of the walls. As spring was approaching, the snow that thus far had kept Katsuie in Echizen would melt, and so Hideyoshi moved his forces to northern Omi once more, where he constructed a series of fortifications in anticipation of the arrival of his enemy. And so it happened, as Shibata Katsuie, at the head of his 20,000-strong army, marched south and stopped before Hashiba's defensive line. Everything had gone according to plan, or so Hideyoshi thought, but as soon as his forces reached Kinomoto, he was informed that Oda Nobutaka had once again gathered his troops. Nobutaka's army posed a serious threat to Hideyoshi's rear, and if he wanted victory, he would have to move quickly. Leaving behind his half-brother, Hashiba Hidenaga, with 15,000 men, and Niue Nagahide as the head of another 2, he raced towards Gifu once more. But cleverly thinking that his presence might be needed, he set up his headquarters at Ogaki, leaving Nobunaga's other son, Nobukatsu, to command the siege. Meanwhile, noticing the absence of half of the Hashiba troops, Katsuie began besieging the castles. He sent a detachment led by Sakuma Morimasa around Lake Yogo to attack the fortresses from the southwestern approach, while a regiment under Maeda Toshie provided cover against a possible counterattack. He was thus able to capture the castles of Oiwa and Iwasaki, which were defended by Nakagawa Kiyahide and Takayama Ukon respectively. Kiyahide was killed, but Ukon managed to escape. Only the castle of Shizugatake.
Bro, I love, bro, Japanese castles, bro. Oh my, they're so good looking. They're so good looking. Like, you have no idea, bro.
Remained under Hashipa control, and Morimasa was determined to change that. Ignoring Hidetake's army and orders from Katsuie to abandon the offensive operations and instead fortify the captured Oiwa castle, he pressed on. When Hideyoshi Etogaki was informed that Morimasa was besieging Shizugatake, instead of seeking refuge inside Oiwa, he famously proclaimed, "Then I have won." The following day, he took his cavalry forces to quickly head back to Kinomoto, his infantry marching behind at a far slower pace. He stopped only to assume command of Hidinaga's troops and to be briefed on the situation at hand. Then Hideyoshi blew on a conch shell. It was the signal his men were waiting for, and like hungry wolves, they fell on Sakuma's lines. As the sun was slowly rising behind the mountain peaks, the two forces clashed. Due to the mountainous nature of the terrain, battle lines soon dissolved, a frenzied melee and personal duels taking their place. Amidst this chaos, individual combat skills would determine the outcome of the battle, and Hideyoshi's elite horse guards proved pivotal. 7 of these men, most notably Kato Kiyomasa and Fukushima Masanori, exemplified themselves, earning the nickname the Seven Spears of Shizugatake. Meanwhile, Maeda Toshie, who was observing the events, realized Hideyoshi's army would emerge victorious and decided to retreat to Fuchu Castle, later coming to terms with the victorious Hashiba. The force of the attackers, coupled with the abandonment by their allies, finally broke Sakuma's troops, who hurled down their weapons and armor and ran to the valley. Shibata Katsuie, despite seeing them routing, initially wanted to make a stand, but was persuaded by his advisors and ordered a general retreat towards the safety of Kitanosho Castle, with Hideyoshi pursuing him and laying siege to the fortress. Katsuie, coming to terms with the fact that it was all over, decided to go out as a samurai. It is said that he climbed to the 9th floor of the keep and announced to his men his decision to die by his own hand. He then ordered the keep to be set ablaze, and amidst the flames, Katsuie and his wife, Uichi, committed suicide.
Wow, the wife
Following the fall of the castle,
the wife went with him? Bruh! Yo, what happened to that type of loyalty, bro? You will never see that type of loyalty around today. You will never, bruh. You know what that reminds me of? Bruh, I don't know if maybe they took it from this scene. But like, this reminds me of Demon Slayer. I don't know if y'all watch anime or not. I don't really watch anime too much, but I watch a little bit. But like, this reminds me of the scene where freaking, I don't know if y'all watching Demon Slayer. Hopefully not, but shit. Skip this part. If you are watching Demon Slayer, it could be a spoiler. But this reminds me of when freaking Muzan walked in. Similar castle too. And the dude just blew himself up along with the wife too. Like, bruh, is that inspired off of that? Had to be. That's very similar, bro. It had to be inspired off of that. Ain't no way, bruh. But like, bro, that type of loyalty to just go out, or maybe she just didn't really have a choice. Maybe there was nothing for her that was left if she survived. So she was like, shit. She probably was like, shit. Yeah, I'm out too.
her daughters came under Hideyoshi's protection, who promptly sent them to Osaka, where he was building a new and imposing castle over the ruins of the old Ishiyama Honganji. In a weird twist of fate, the eldest of Uichi's daughters, Yododono, also known as Lady Chacha, became his wife and mother to his heir Hideyori, while the youngest would marry Tokugawa Hidetada, the second shogun. Katsuie's death pretty much signaled the end of the war. Maeda Toshie had already shown his unwillingness to confront Hideyoshi head-on, and now officially submitted to him. while Takegawa Kazemasu bent the knee a few months later. But what about Oda Nobutaka? Besieged at Gifu by his brother, he was ultimately forced to surrender once more. But this time, Hideyoshi's capacity for forgiveness had reached its limits. Neither would Nobukatsu show any mercy to a brother whom he considered to be an obstacle on his path to ascension. Confined at a monastery in Owari, he was pressured into committing seppuku 2 months later, leaving behind a rather bitter death poem wishing for the gods to punish Hideyoshi. However, Nobutaka's death did not bring an end to the infighting of the Oda camp. Nobukatsu was now rid of his rival sibling, and all that remained between him and the kingdom his father had carved was 3-year-old Samboshi, backed by the Hashiba clan. Therefore, Nobukatsu would need an equally strong ally to oppose Hideyoshi. His search did not take long, as he found that partner in the face of Tokugawa Ieyasu.
Yeah, bruh, I'm wondering about these people. Bruh, he's talking about the south. I'm like, what about the north? What is going on up there?
And perceptively remained on the sideline during the Hashiba-Shibata conflict, instead focusing on securing the former possessions of the Takeda clan in Kai and Shinano provinces. His military might and ambition matched Hideyoshi's, and with Nobukatsu on his side, he now had a pretext to advance against him. The following year, the two men would clash in an epic showdown at
the Clash of the Giants!
The Battle of Komaki at Nagakute. We will cover this epic showdown in the next video in this series. To ensure you don't miss that, subscribe and press the bell button. Please consider
Clash of the Titans! Yo. Yeah, man. Ooh, okay, I'm really gonna see, like, we're looking forward to that. Oh. Hideyoshi strikes back, Sengoku Jidai. Woohoo! If you made it all the way here, you're new to my channel, you like what I have to say in my videos, make sure that you subscribe. Check out my other, like, Japanese reaction videos. I don't really have a lot on my channel, actually. But if you know any videos on Japan that you would like to see my reaction to, you can always comment in the comments below. Eventually, I will do it. If you want it to be done quicker, because I have so many other people give me suggestions, you are always free to join the channel membership. And I highly recommend this too. I really recommend this, guys. I'm just not saying that out of my butt. You can always click the join page to see all the perks that you get. But the main ones are suggestions are done quicker, more priority to reply on your comments, and the access to the Discord server where information is given to you much more quicker. And guys, you might think, oh, that's not really a lot. It is. This is why I said for active viewers only. Okay, like that's, and it's only 99 cents. Like, I purposely made it cheap. So anyways, thank you for watching and goodbye.